We went to Lehman High School, located in Kyle, Texas, just south of Austin. We visited with J.D. Stump, an environmental systems and science teacher. He's about to teach a class of seniors about watersheds.
We turn the faucet on and the water comes out, and that is the only thing we think about. And as long as it's clean, we don't give it a second thought. So for me to come in and direct their attention to something like this and to hold their attention for a week of class and then on the weekend and then come back and do it again, I think that is really important in creating those citizens that look for information, that are just naturally concerned about water quality. I'm going to hand you a card, and you're going to figure out what the definition of a watershed really is. What's the logical way for these words to fit into these spaces? Okay? It's going to take some conversation. We're going to do it all together. It's going to be a big traffic jam. I had them do the vocabulary activity, where they're kind of having to figure out the definition.
Use the runoff.
That sounds logical. Sounds really logical.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, ones get out of the way. Let's get the twos in. The blank area that is blank, so land is going to go in one of those two blanks. Yeah, that's right. That's it, Alex. Yep.
The land area that is drained with drop precipitation.
Precipitation.
Precipitation, sorry. I have dyslexia, leave me alone.
So that's our first question, what's a watershed? The next part is, where am I in the watershed? I being you. We transitioned to the Google Earth activity, and that's simply where we just pinpointed each student's home within the watershed. It's based on satellite photos, and it is really cool to me because it's almost like you're a bird flying over the land. I've got your names and addresses marked on the map. So what we'll do is add a person's name and then fly to their house like this, okay? There's Regina. Looks like she lives right along a creek. Actually, I think that's the San Marcos River. Pretty important, okay? And Josh. So Josh, what are you close to?
The Steeplechase Park.
The Steeplechase Park. And what runs through Steeplechase Park? It's Plum Creek, okay? I wanted to keep the Google Earth program zoomed in fairly closely so that we could fly from one person's house to another, but you really weren't getting the big picture until the very end. Let me just zoom back out, okay? And I want you to look for a heavy yellow boundary. This is part of it, okay? Now, do you see all the place marks? I purposely did it that way because I wanted that moment of, oh, look at all these place marks. They're all within this yellow boundary, and that's the watershed. It immediately pulls them into the lesson. I really just think if you are pulling the kids into the situation, there's so much more buy-in, there's so much more cooperation. The big idea here is we all live in a watershed.
The second day, students focused on how humans affect the watershed. They began by working in groups to rank the impact that human activities, such as construction, agriculture, and industrial pollution, have on water quality and health.
Do your pre-ranking. Remember, what number is the worst? What does it get if it's the worst? Five. Okay, 5 is the worst. At this point, just try to come to a general agreement. We did a pre-ranking of the water quality factors, and we purposely did it without giving the kids any information so that we could kind of get an assessment of where are they at, what do they think right now. It's kind of the KWL, it's kind of what do you know? What do you know already? And then that tells us how far, we need to go. Once we got the pre-ranking written on the mini marker boards, we had each student go to a station to learn about one of the factors. We told them to write something interesting, something important, something that you felt your home group needed to know about your factor.
The interesting thing about it is the water is not treated at all.
We had them come back to the home group.
So the ranking
They
for that
shared
has
their
to go a
results.
little higher, possibly.
And then we had them
That's
re-rank
for some
the
reason.
factors based on the new information that they had.
Keep it at 3 or change it up to a 4?
I'll say 4.
Yeah, put it up to 4.
Yeah.
Majority vote 4? Yeah.
Residential?
I think that's a 3 because some people are kind of nasty and some people are.
Exactly what I said, guys.
Once we had, given them some time to discuss it, then we had a member of each group come and just display the results, and then I asked about what are the changes that you made. Let's talk about agriculture, because you took that from a 2 to a 4.
Well, yeah, agriculture. We thought it was just like farming and like irrigation and stuff like that. So like what they bring into their land, they put back into it. So we thought like if they brought in water to water their plants, like they would clean the water and put it back in.
Yeah.
But then we found out they do that, but they put in more bacteria and there's different sediments, and they put in pesticides and herbicides.
Okay, yeah, I heard you guys talking about the sides. And, those things are important to remember. That's part of farming. And then you guys had residential going from 2 to 3. The water that falls on a residential area, okay, does that water get treated before it enters the creeks? It doesn't have any treatment, okay, so.
It's like all the fertilizers.
Yeah, there's fertilizers people put on their lawns, and there's oil and gas from leaky cars, old cars. It goes straight into the creeks. No treatment at all.
On the third day of the Watershed Unit, Cindy Thomas Jimenez, Education Director of the Guadalupe Blanco River Authority, visited the class.
Did anybody go to the Blanco River last summer? Probably not, because what did it look like? It was all dried up. It's a river that dries up fairly quickly when we go into extended periods of drought. But that is the closest river to Kyle, and then as you continue south, you come to the San Marcos River.
And then the second half of the class was like, it's the 1-2 punch where we tell you about it, but then she pulls out the watershed model.
This is the Plum Creek watershed. You are right here, underneath my finger, all right? This is the San Marcos watershed, the Blanco River watershed, the Peach Creek, Sandy's Creek. Each of them has a name. Each of them has different characteristics because of the way that the land is used. This is cocoa, and it's going to represent farming waste and ranching waste, okay? And then I'm also going to use this, which is Kool-Aid, and this is going to represent our urban waste, okay?
When she sprinkles the Kool-Aid on, you kind of like, well, you can't even really see it. But then she's spraying, and they're simulating the rain, and then you can see the concentration become stronger and stronger as it all collects together and goes downstream.
San Marcos feeds into the Guadalupe, and the Guadalupe makes its way all the way to the coast. Victoria, remember, uses this river for their drinking water. They have very poor water quality in Victoria. Now, did they pollute the river?
No.
Who polluted it?
We did.
People upstream, all right?
And it's the big picture that we all need to be concerned about. We don't only want them to be concerned about their creek and their watershed. We need to realize that everything that happens downstream of their watershed can be impacted by them.
In a topic like this, it's tough to get a real vision of the area and the scope of an entire watershed.
We have whooping cranes, large birds that are about as tall as me, but they weigh about 12 pounds. They come down here from Canada and northern U.S. every winter, and they hang out. They are dependent on this fresh water coming down the river. So you have fresh water coming down the river systems and feeding into these bays, mixing with the salt water.
I think almost all those kids had their hands on that model. It makes it a real thing rather than a piece of paper, an image on a screen, a poster. It's just something completely different.
Day 4 brought the students and their teacher to the Plum Creek watershed for a cleanup.
We've got some of those rubber gloves. We'll have plenty of trash bags and gloves for everybody. We'll also have plenty of cleaners, so don't worry about getting dirty.
There's a lot that, yeah,
bad.
Because as you can see, there are bags half full, and it's like, what was that, like 7 bags?
It's just really, really bad.
I wanted to make sure that I wasn't there just to kind of stand on the side. I wanted to make sure they saw me picking up trash too. I mean, I can show them picture after picture and they can read all they want. But until they are standing there on the creek side with a bag in one hand and a hubcap in the other hand, it's just, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's just more school. To them, it's just more school. So to be out there, to be in the sun, muddy, walking around, picking things up off the ground, there's no better way to drive a point home. And especially when they see the volume of trash that was in the creek. My goal for that, number one, was that the students were involved in service to the community. Number two, that we had a connection between what we were learning in the classroom and what's happening in the outside world.
Everything that we throw in here affects the water that we get into our systems and stuff. We don't want to be drinking nasty water that goes through the pipes and stuff, you know, with the nasty cans, the styrofoam. We don't want to be drinking stuff that comes out of styrofoam or anything. So.
Number three, I wanted them to behave like good citizens and to practice being a good citizen.
I'm enjoying myself. I mean, I feel good. I feel like I'm helping out my community. And I just feel happy. I mean, I feel good about doing this.
On the final day of the unit, the class began with everyone sharing experiences from the cleanup.
So think about the trash that you found on the other side of there. What did you guys find?
Tires, ice chest. I found some pesticides.
Really? Like in a can or?
No, it was the bottles and loppers.
Okay.
Clippers.
Yeah.
Shovel. Hoe.
I went and I was cleaning out all of this trash from there. But at the bottom, at the base of like 2 of these trees, there was like this mass of plastic bags wrapped around the bottom of it.
Oh, really?
We found like a big tin, or like it was like half of a shed, like a metal shed, like in the thing. So it was like folded up and bent. So we like kind of put it into the white recycling one.
These are 2 students I saw. They're doing a valiant effort of trying to get these cans out of the creek. I didn't push it, man. There were about half a dozen cans just sunk right along this. And the tree branches here, they look pretty solid. They're not. They crumble as soon as you try to grab onto them. Yeah. So we had to, again, classic scenario. We got the 2 people working and then the supervisor trying not to laugh. I was really happy just to hear the experiences that they had, just to hear about the things that they found. They liked really looking at the pictures.
Students then had a chance to reflect on what they had learned by writing letters to the director of the Kyle Parks and Recreation Department.
You know, I could tell right away when I first put the instructions up that they were kind of like, well, we have to do a bunch of writing now. But once everybody got settled, I mean, the kids did a lot more, even than what I really asked them to do. I had kids writing an entire page and then onto the back, and that was totally voluntary.
I like most about Mr. Sun's class is it's very laid back. It's very easy. I mean, the work's not easy, as you can tell, but he makes it easy to learn.
I like that I got to help. I personally, well, the school pretty much, or volunteers pretty much got to help our city clean up our park, which made me kind of feel good.
The reason why I got into this class wasn't because I knew what was going to be in it, but it was singularly because of the word environment. And when I read that, I was like, I want to go into this class because I want to learn more about the environment and I want to get more involved in the environment and what happens in it.
I can say that if we had just done the cleanup, it would not have been as effective. And if we had just done the lessons in the classroom, it would not have been as effective. It's doing both things, getting them ready for the experience, having the experience, and then especially the last day of processing, digesting, reliving, going back through, sharing the memories. All those 3 things have to happen for it to really come home for them.